Hello and welcome back to another RLCS recap video. The best day of Rocket League ever. It could have been. It's definitely the best Rocket League Swiss of all time. What happened? I don't even really believe what's on my screen currently, to be honest. Shock after shock, upset after upset, teams performing, and then disappearing. It was crazy. I mean, where to start? There were so many games today. I'm just going to go from the 2-0s, the 1-1s to the 0-2s. 2-0, starting off already with the shock. I didn't have this. I re-predicted my predictions yesterday, and I think I had this one literally 3-1 the other way around. That boy Zen. That boy Zen is moving. He's moving. And dare I say, he's moving like the best player in the world. Vitality, I mean, maybe someone predicted them to be doing this well. It wasn't me. I did not think they would be perhaps favourites. Perhaps favourites currently to win this is them or Falcons currently. And I don't believe that. Because I don't know about you boys, but they were just mid online. Mid. And they've turned up. They have absolutely turned up. Never doubt these guys on LAN. It was domination, really. Energy today, a little bit weaker than maybe I thought they were going to be. And that's why that happened. But Vitality's style of play, the amount of passes they go for, constant offense, it's just brutal. And it can even suffocate Energy, who usually don't get suffocated. That defense is something different. Falcons ultimates. This was the start of the end. Okay, this was the start of the end. And I didn't think much of this result, because it was pretty easy for Falcons. But Falcons, I mean, we saw Falcons yesterday absolutely dismantle Dignitas. Literally take them to the cleaners. It was disgusting. So I didn't think much of this, but what was the Chronic tweet out yesterday? 2-0 GG's, let's clean this up tomorrow or something. No. I'm sure people know, or if you don't know, Ultimates did not make top 8. We'll get into that later, but it is the first time in Rocket League history that a team who was 2-0 didn't make top 8. Just needed to win one series. Just the one series, and then boys couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. And it's crazy. It is. Seriously, yesterday I thought they were the best team in the whole tournament. Probably favourites. And that's what happens. I don't even really believe it, to be honest. Yeah, destroyed. Falcons way too good, though. Way too good. I didn't think much of it. Moving on. Carmine's Secret. And I said this yesterday. In the predictions, I did predict KC to win, right? But I said this could be a 3-2. I said this could be close. And it was close. Them boys' secret are secret no longer, let me tell you. Their power, they had secret power like in Pokemon. That nasty move, they had that. They had that. And I don't know what happened with them, alright? Because the last Birmingham Major, who remembers how they played? Them boys were meaty. They were bad. Probably one of the worst teams at the Birmingham Major. And they cooked today. They cooked in that series particularly well. They just have this ability to actually create and not play one-dimensional that some of these other, I would say, lower-ranked teams don't have. FURIA Twisted, yeah, we got that Twisted win. I didn't have that. I had FURIA winning this one. Twisted just played phenomenally well today. Their offense, they might have the best offense. Genuinely, they might have the best offense. They are pretty unstoppable when they get going. Naupo, but Naupo, people saying he's called Nobu? Not Naupo? I don't care, I'm still calling him Naupo. Crazy. That boy is one of the best players in the world. He's up there with Zen. I can't wait to see him and Zen go. I hope the bracket matches up like that. I don't know. Yeah, very close game between very good teams. It was really high scoring, and then the next game was 1-0. The game after that was 1-0, and high scoring again, really weird one. Dig Genji, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch that much of this one, but it looked reasonably comfortable for Dignitas. Genji just didn't get it going as much as I thought they would this major. The style, like I was talking about with the lower ranked teams, the style of play was just here and it didn't progress. It was very simple Rocket League, which sometimes works, but it did not work for Genji, especially not in that series. Gentlemates, again, Space Station. I saw the numbers that Kofor was putting up for demos. I think he beat a record in this series for the most demos or something. That boy was the only reason Space Station were somewhat alright, like could take games and had potential to win series, because those demos he was putting in were clutch. But it was kind of men against boys here, literally. Just Space Station will be back. Trust me, they will be back and they'll be better. But first LAN, what do you expect? I mean, it's a bunch of kids. That's what you get, isn't it? Gentlemate's just too much ice. Too much ice. Moving on down to the 0-2s. Wow. TSM. Let me tell you about them boys. I predicted both of these ones correct. By the way, which ones did I get wrong? In this, I got Vitality wrong and I got Twisted wrong, but I got all the rest of them correct. Yeah, TSM, man. I actually rate TSM, you know, they're not bad. They're infinitely clear of Wildcard. So much better than Wildcard. TSM can actually, like, sure, they concede, like, a ton of goals. I'm pretty sure they conceded 1 bajillion goals. However, they have the offense, though. When their offense gets going, they're actually sick. They had some crazy moments, I'm not going to lie. And I was really happy that they beat Foot. We cannot have Foot not going 0-3. That would just suck. Yeah, moving down to Wildcard versus Pro. I said it in the last one. Wildcard, they're not a wild card. Wildcard means that you can do really good, and then you don't know what's going to happen, right? No, we know what they are. They're wildly ass. They've got no sauce, no tech, and man, it was just sad to watch. And like, I love Torsauce, right? I love Torsauce. He's goated, right? He's been doing this for so long, you know, since some people were in the womb, right? But man, he's always smiling. Bro, stop smiling. You're getting blown out. Stop smiling and lock in. Those guys were just, oh man. Even he stopped smiling at the end. He was like, "This isn't fun no more." And it wasn't fun to watch either. Virtus Pro took them to the cleaners, and Virtus Pro were the 3rd worst team in this entire LAN. So crazy. Yeah. Moving on to the 2-1s, we got Energy Twisted Was. This is some of these series, by the way. I'm not really touching on how good this Carmine Secret and how good this FURIA Twisted one were. They were so good. And even some of these, like, I really enjoyed the Gentlemate Space Station, and also actually enjoyed the TSM Foot. But this Energy Twisted game was a classic. These guys were going at it, and it was so close. It really could have gone. I couldn't tell who was going to win. Like, Energy did the classic thing. They go 1-0 up, and you're like, that's the game. And it was the game sometimes, right? They just held them off, as usual. You know what they do. But then, all of a sudden, the next thing you know, Twisted are 4-0, 5-0 up in the next one. You're like, what's going on? I don't know who's going to win. This is all over the place. But Energy won. They got the job done. Energy and Twisted, 2 great teams. They could make a run tomorrow, Twisted. We don't know. We'll have to see. Ultimates, Gen G. This was, like I said, the Falcons was the start of it all. This was like, especially I think it was that game, the game 3. Oh, that was one of the worst I've seen in ages. I mean, I think they were 3-1 up with 20 seconds left. The Ultimates were 3-1 up with 20 seconds left, and they lost. Not even in overtime. They lost on 0 seconds. That was just the disaster. Like, they just could not hold a lead today. Even later on, which we'll get onto, they could not hold a lead. It was brutal. Again, Gentlemate's actually playing really well. Better than I thought they would. The pressure is not getting to them, getting to Eugen anymore, to be honest. They could actually maybe even make a run enough to make GK have to go for LCQ, which would suck because I'm a GK fan, but Gentlemates are cooking. They're playing really, really good, solid Rocket League. And it's not one-dimensional, but it's like it's not one-dimensional, but they're doing the basics really well, probably better than almost all the other teams. KC Dig, this one was so weird. Like, Dig won that first game, and they deserved it, but I felt like KC were still finding their way into the series. And then KC won the next 2 games, kind of easily, to be honest, and it looked like what was usually going to happen, KC just win, but then Dig snatched game 4. Yeah, Dig snatched game 4, and then anything can happen because it's the final game, and because Dig won that first one, like, it was kind of a throwaway. And I mean, I'm not saying like this makes it sound like Dig played bad. Dig played great, obviously, otherwise they wouldn't have won this, but it did look like the average KC series, like they were just going to clean up, but they just didn't clean up, and that's what KC, it's the whole reason they fell as far as they did, all the way to 2-2, is just because they weren't as clinical as they needed to be in the big games, and they just choked. Well done to Dignitas going through 3-1. That is impressive. I don't think I had that in my original predictions. Maybe I did, but no one, and it's so crazy, Dig and Ultimates in the 2-2 round. Also, the fact that FURIA lost to Twisted means they were in the 1-2. What was in the water? I couldn't believe what was happening, but it made for some very entertaining rock. So fun to watch. FURIA Virtus Pro, don't need to touch on that one. Respect the Virtus Pro. APAC doing their best, way better than OCE, well, at least better than Wildcard. Virtus Pro, pretty good team, but yeah, they're not better than FURIA. That was just kind of over before it started. Genji, Space Station 3-1, yeah. This one looked like it was going to be close in the first game because Space Station won, and you were thinking like, oh, hold on, this could be back and forth. Yeah, Space Station this LAN, obviously because the nerves were getting to them, the overcommits, and not just the overcommits, but the actual just genuine decision making was pretty bad, and just cost them countless goals, and especially with Genji's kickoffs being as good as they were. Also, Justin, yes, he hit a nasty shot, little flip off the ceiling, down onto Justin's car, flip reset, bang, in the back of the neck. That was beautiful. So good to watch, so good to see him back and cooking. Sadly, MB Magic Bear, one of my goats, he didn't turn up this LAN, which is a shame, but he did in the 1-0 against Genji, but they lost to Genji, they lost to Energy, so it didn't matter. But yeah, sadly Magic Bear did not turn up. Cheese was cooking as well in this final game, we'll get onto that. But Secret TSM, yeah, Secret winning again. TSM, good show, honestly. This one could have been 3-2, it could have been a bit closer, but yeah, TSM's defense, I suppose when you go out all in offense like TSM do, you're going to concede a lot, kind of like what Twisted Minds used to be like. They aren't like anymore. Twisted Minds defense is definitely a lot better, but yeah, TSM have got a lot of potential actually. I think they're easily going to be the best team in OCE very soon. I mean, they already are. Wildcard are not good, but yeah, good showing from TSM. I like to see that. OCE is not cooked just yet, but there's going to have to be some serious talks about removing OCE2. It's got to be just the one team now, to be honest. It has to be. Maybe we get another team for either NA or EU, like the very best one, which, as we can see, it was so funny because NA went undefeated yesterday, and everyone was saying NA was back, ooh, EU run away scared, and Johnny Boy was like saying, oh well, we'll see what happens. People were flaming him. I was thinking, Johnny, I don't know, NA look pretty good. NA do not look pretty good. One NA team makes top 8. That's the first time ever, by the way, that's happened. First time ever. I can't believe it. It's crazy. Wow. Getting on to the 2-2s. This series was my favourite series of the day. Maybe my favourite series since GK swept KC. What a series, man. It was so good. It had everything. Secret really won this one again because Ultimates just couldn't ice at all. No ice in their veins. Just kept messing up things they shouldn't mess up. The backboard clears. In particular one from LJ to give Secret a chance to back into that game, which they took again. I think again they had a 2-0 lead with 30 seconds left, and it might have even been game 3 again, and Ultimates just squander. LJ blast it off the ceiling. I think Swift taps it in, and then next thing you know, they've won in overtime. Obviously, it wasn't in 0 seconds like the last one against Gentlemates, but they did not have the clutch factor today at all. It was dastardly to watch, to be honest. It was a very tough watch. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to see First Killer go out. I felt bad for First Killer because, to be honest, I don't like blaming individual players, but LJ was prone to the most mistakes in this series. I think the pressure was getting to him. FK was pretty good overall, especially the first day. I thought he was the best player. Second day he was definitely not the best player, but he was good. And Chronic was pretty good. He was keeping them from really blowing it. But yeah, man, wow. But I have to say, all credit, although Ultimate's made a lot of mistakes, all credit to Secret. Them boys can cook. I knew it. I said it yesterday. They could go on a little run. They could go to 2-2. It's not crazy. I said it's not crazy, and it was not crazy. I should have said they can go top 8, and that wouldn't have been crazy because they did. Goats. I love the way they play. So entertaining. Seriously, so fun. It's sadly I gotta get on to my apology. I apologise. For those who know, I predicted FURIA to win this entire event. Yesterday I said that might have been a mistake, but we'll have to see. Now we've seen, and we've seen the worst. And I just have to apologise sincerely to everyone. What a terrible prediction. No, I'm actually not going to do that, because how am I supposed to know that FURIA are going to have to face Carmine Corp in the 2-2 round? What's going on? That is not what was supposed to happen. That wasn't what my predictions were saying. They had to face like Virtus Pro or someone. Like, what a joke, you know what I mean? How am I supposed to know that's going to happen? So, yeah, they had no chance, to be honest. And when actually looking back at it, FURIA had a really, really bad one regardless, because you have to look at who they got their wins against. They got their wins against Wildcard, who were the worst team, and they got their other win against Virtus Pro, who was the second worst team. Those are the only teams they beat in the whole LAN. You could also say, sure, they had to play Vitality, who's probably the best team, Twisted, who are surprising everyone, and KC, who should be the best team in the world, but they're not. So yes, a very tough run, but it was not good enough from FURIA. Jan had his moments here and there where he sort of 3v1'd, but overall, man, as a team, because this is the thing with Secret, it looked like they were on 100 chem, you know, in FIFA, when all your players are clicking up and the passes are moving slick and everyone's making the right runs. It was perfect. It was full chemistry Rocket League, which is the opposite of what Ultimates and FURIA had today. It was just pure skill, but absolutely no teamwork. KC were struggling with that a bit in the Dignitas when it looked like they were a bit separated. They pieced that up together in the FURIA one, but that's because I think FURIA were just doing a worse job at being a team. Seriously, that's what it looked like. It's a shame to see them go out though. Seriously, tough. Oh, I hate to see it, especially when I predicted them to win. However, can I say I predicted FURIA to win because I thought this LAN was going to be crazy. And boy, oh boy, hasn't it been crazy, hey. Hey, so I'll take that. I guess I was correct in the end. You know what I mean? No, I wasn't. I was so wrong. I was thinking about predicting Falcons to win, but I chose FURIA. Falcons look like they could win. Come on, the Falcons, that's my team now that FURIA and Genji are both out, as we'll get on to Genji 3-0'd by Twisted. Wasn't particularly close. The first game was. Cheese was cooking. He was cooking up something nasty. Top cheddar from one of them. He was looking really good player. But yeah, MB needed to step up in this one big time, and he didn't. And this is the thing that I said about Genji and about Space Station throughout the whole thing, and you can say about FURIA as well. Actually, the play of Rocket League was so simple. It really was just like ones. Kind of like ones. I mean, they had a little bit of team play, those teams, but not much. It was like watching just ones, just trying to out-mech. There was no didn't feel like there was a real game plan to Genji. And yeah, I mean, Twisted Minds, they blew them out. I mean, Justin said before that they were having a really hard time against Twisted in scrims, and we can see, buddy, it was tough. So sad we don't get to see Justin on the big stage. Tough tough, but also very funny because NA only have one team in the top 8, which we'll get onto now. What a day, by the way. Seriously, some of the craziest games ever, the craziest Swiss ever, maybe the craziest day of Rocket League ever. Hope tomorrow is the same. I think it starts with lowers, right? I think it would. I'm just going to guess, because I'm not entirely sure which one it'll start with. I think it'll start with this Gentlemate's Secret one. This will be good. I'm not entirely sure how close this one will be. I really hope it's close. I'm going to predict it close because I want it to be close. Yeah, there is a chance that Secret take this. I'm on the bandwagon, seriously. But in front of the crowd, against a team like Gentlemates that probably won't feel that pressure. I mean, Eugen will, probably, but yeah, man, I don't know. I think the magic will run out. But I really hope it's a close one. I really hope so. They could win that. This one is not. It's not one-sided. Some people might just give this one to Gentlemates easy. It's not one-sided. Don't count Secret out. Do not count them out. Carmine, Twisted. This is going to be an absolute blinder. These matchups are great. These lower round matchups are great, by the way. Like, wow. Oh, man. Casey in front of a crowd are unstoppable. But I'm not entirely sure how many Twisted will take. I want to go 4-3, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go 4-2. Yeah, I think that's fair. I still think Twisted they don't lack defense anymore, and they don't lack offense, but they lack the balance between that sometimes. There's a few times where they've been caught napping, and there's been like an open net, or some Rise was bumped into Naupo or something like that, and they've just conceded, and you're like, I think that you can't do that against Carmine Corp. You can't. You won't win. It doesn't matter how good Naupo is. It doesn't matter how good your team is at scoring goals. There's not enough goals on the planet you can score against Carmine. And these two have already played each other, haven't they? Let me check. Pretty sure they have. Yeah, and it was 3-0. Wasn't particularly close. However, Carmine were playing better. They're not playing as good now, but they'll still win. Falcons dig. Get this one over with. I'm sorry. The most dominant game of this entire LAN so far was that Falcons Dignitas game. That was genuinely brutal to watch. It wasn't even remotely close. I know Falcons were absolutely peaking, but they're still peaking. They peaked today. They destroyed the Ultimates. I know the Ultimates obviously had a very bad day, but they destroyed them. They're going to destroy Dig again. And then the final game of the day, probably isn't the final game, but Vitality versus NRG, another rematch, but this time it's NRG on the stage. This is a big one. I think NA's going to have a bad time tomorrow. 4-3. I want it to be close. Again, if this is the way the day goes, we're in for a great day tomorrow. I can't wait. Some other things that's interesting, that LCQ means that some play-in Gen G is going to have to play against a team. I think it's going to be a SAM team, a MENA team, an EU team, and an NA team for the LCQ. So one of those, and one of them's going to have to play Wildcard, TSM, Foot, Virtus Pro, and Gen G. I don't know how Gen G are on there, but they are. I really hope that doesn't somehow make Justin have to play like Nip somehow, if that's the case. I really hope not, but what a day. Everything turned out pretty good. It's a shame about my predictions, but maybe these predictions I did now are going to be spot on, and I can finally break my curse of just never ever getting it right. As always, what a day. Seriously, can't wait for tomorrow. If you found these predictions interesting, stupid, if you thought the recap was bad, if you thought I didn't make the right information, if you think there's anything I missed about certain teams, leave it in the comments. Let me know, or subscribe if you feel so inclined. As always, it's been the Foolish Fella, and it's been another recap video. Thank you for watching. Peace.